Welcome to the ripple effect of love for dads and families. Today, we have something different for you. And let me just hide this so that you can see me. I'm Christine Bernat, stress management coach, EFT practitioner, and much more. So, today we are looking at how can we're looking at trusting ourselves in as being the foundation of leading with love. We've talked about the importance of self-love. We've talked about that inner wisdom, letting it come through. And we've been celebrating many amazing things. So now, what is it that you want to do to be able to, nope, I don't know. You know, I'm trying things out, and I thank you so much for your patience. And okay, I can now see if there are comments in my Facebook group. So that's kind of cool. Okay, what am I talking about today? Let's get trusting ourselves. Yes, so trusting ourselves is so important because when things get tough, we need support. And sometimes people say asking for help is a sign of weakness. Well, if you feel that way, look at how you're evolving. And if you are getting help, look at how you're evolving. There's a difference that happens when we get support. It helps us be on track. It helps us see what we are unable to see. Sometimes, when my son told me, when I had asked him, "Oh, honey, do you find I'm dramatic?" Because my daughter had said that. And of course, she was 16, 17. And so he's 6.5 years older. And he says, "Oh, Mom, you're not dramatic. You're neurotic." So imagine that's like, ugh, right? It's not what I wanted to hear. I was unable to see what it was that I was doing that was creating the distance between my children and I. I knew I was really tired. I knew I was going through a lot of stuff, but I wasn't able to take action in the areas of my life where I needed to take action. So where was it snowballing? Onto my poor kids. And that's the last thing I wanted. And that's something that sometimes happens. So because we've been celebrating our success, and I've talked a lot about self-regulation, sometimes it's important to be able to, here we go, create a mantra to anchor our confidence and guide us through those challenges. So, what is it? And when you create a mantra or an affirmation, however you want to call it, it's fine. It doesn't matter how you call it. What's important is that you use it, right? Because when we have something and we keep changing every 2 seconds, it's kind of hard to see if there's any improvement. So we need to say it in the present tense. That's number one, very important. We want to keep it simple, but we also want it to be heartfelt. It needs to fill our love, our heart when we say it. I've heard people say mantras and they're like, like, okay, are you feeling it in your heart? And then, of course, you need to commit to it. And those of you who know me know that I will say you need to snap, tap, zap any resistance that may come up. And some days it'll be easy to say your mantra or your affirmation. And there's other days you don't want to say it. So one of my mantras is I self-regulate daily. My life transforms. Notice how I didn't say, I self-regulate daily, my life transforms. There's a huge difference in how I say it and how I take the time to breathe while I'm doing it. If it doesn't feel real, because some days it will not feel real because our brain challenges us. When we try to create shifts, our brain does this, goes into survival mode. Our brain kept us safe until now and used this old way of being to keep us safe. But now that we're ready to change, to shift, to bring about something new in our life, our brain goes into that survival mode and tries to make us not commit to it, or we know what a present tense is, and all of a sudden we can't even do that. I'm willing to, that's in the future. I desire is a great way of starting. I desire, I embrace self love. That's a great one. If you haven't been saying yes to you and no to some of the other ones, if you're not seeing new perspectives, new ways of interacting with people, this can be very good for you. I embrace self love. And it feels good. It feels good for me to say it. I've been working on self love for 5 years. So I may have a heads up over what you're working on, and that's okay. It is okay. Be where you're at and just see what comes up and what is best for you in the moment. So, as we create a mantra that reflects self trust in ourselves, all about trusting so that we can lead with more love. What is your mantra that you would like to create for you? Right? I tune in to my inner wisdom is another great one, because when you tune in to your inner wisdom, you're able to see what it is, what opportunity or perspective you need to see. Maybe your best mantra right now is I seek help, or I embrace help. Some of you pray, I pray for goodness in my life, whatever it is, to be calm. If anger was one of your issues and you're trying to create a mantra or an affirmation, maybe something that's the opposite, like calmness. So remember, you want it to be in the present tense. You want it to be simple. You want to feel it in your heart. And obviously, you want to commit to it. And last but not least, the most important, you want to release any resistance that comes up. And I will tell you, some days resistance comes up and it is very challenging for me. I didn't want to use my SnapTapZap the other week, and things just kept snowballing out of control, and it's okay. I am a human. I make mistakes too, and it's okay. And I still love myself, even though I have moments where I'm angry with myself. It's okay. I get back quickly. And I was guided to write a new mantra for myself this weekend. And I really like it. I had a light prayer that I would say, and I changed it up so that it would work for me. So mine goes like this. I know it's way out there, but it's okay. I am my soul's light. My soul's light heals me, and my soul's light grounds me because I know I need to stay grounded in the moment so that I don't go into overwhelm or anxiety. And because I'm hypersensitive, I added my soul's light protects me. You go ahead and make it as short as you can and read it with heartfelt. Oh, I see we have our special guest here today. So, Christian, are you ready to hop on? I'm not too sure. He's not looking at the screen. I think so. Let me bring him up. There we go. Hello, Christian, and welcome. Do you have a mantra or an affirmation that you say that
Mm.
keeps you aligned? You've been doing snap,
Mm.
tap, zap, I can tell. Yawning is one of those things that means the brain is shifting. So it's beautiful to see that from my
Yeah,
perspective, obviously.
yeah. Marvelous. Oh, reason. Um, marvelous things happening, and what I have, what I say. My mantra is me.
Me.
It's
And you
me.
feel it in the heart when you say it.
It's just when I say just me,
Yes.
because I've allowed myself through all the experiences, through my ABCs, to
Mm.
understand that when I mean, that's just what I need. I need me the most, and
Yes.
I'm what I need, and I am sufficient. I am enough. I
Mhm.
am everything, and because I am, it just simply relates back to me.
And I love how you say it in a heartfelt way. Like we can feel it. It's not me. Who cares about me? That's not going to help you. It won't help. But when we can feel it and we can sense what that looks like and feels like, it's a much
You
better
know,
mantra.
one thing. I was kind of paying attention. There's a lot of things that are happening in the world that we want to speak up
Mhm.
for. That we see some situations that are socially, culturally, and just as a people, we are seeing things that are popping back up. And this is history itself, and we've said it, and wise people say it. If you don't pay attention to the history, it's bound to repeat itself.
Yep.
But let's take a second and let's look at that. If enough people push, and it's a ripple, and
Yes.
push and push and
Yes.
push, then the consensus grows and grows and grows. And so I just want to remind me that when we have these types of situations, we can choose to no longer react the old ways.
Yes.
And it gets shaky and it gets anxiety or it gets whatever it is. And so I invite everyone to snap, tap, zap, because if you can
Mm.
self regulate, you can see that even though a history lesson may be getting taught to somebody else, we can learn from it, even though
Yes.
it may not be affecting you directly or impacting you or feeling it, or even
Mhm.
in your space or in your area, and you don't have to let it affect you
Yes.
in a bad way. Every experience can
Mm.
be a form of, we talked about it, that brick.
Mhm.
And we said, well, we talked about die or moving over so that we wouldn't trip on the brick.
Yes.
However, If we were to step on the brick and jump on that brick, now we are going to reach new heights that
Yes.
we wouldn't have if we
Exactly.
wouldn't have had that brick.
Yes.
And as I'm being, as I'm learning, I understand that we're moving as the scenario, the example is somebody's jogging and you see a brick, it's a bigger brick. So you move over. We
Yes.
say, "Oh, moving over. Well, why do I have to move over? Why doesn't the brick or the boulder move over? You can jump. That's yeah, that's the beautiful part about it.
Yeah.
You will get good enough to understand that no matter the size, you have choices. You can go
Yes.
around, you can go over it.
Yes.
Heck,
You
in
can go to
the
the left or the right, right?
yeah,
Over,
yeah, or
under might be complicated, depends how that boulder is placed.
hey,
But
you
in
know
some
what?
cases, you could go under. Exactly.
Or you powerful and this is a mind shift and you're the expert here has said when you yawn there's a shift, so maybe it's a shift and maybe mentally you're breaking through it and maybe you're just going or peacefully saying here's the train, right?
Hmm.
Put it in the train, put it in the balloon, put it in wherever you want to, but just let it go. The reality is that
Yeah.
you now have choices to make, and you're allowing yourself to be the person in control and in charge of your day, of your life,
Yes.
of your circumstances. And we know that no matter what, if your brain keeps picking up things that are shocking and are sensitizing or that are sensational, by the way, there are rules to advertisement for and news articles and so on and so forth, policies that are in place so that consumers aren't taken advantage of by
Hmm.
corporations. And so we speak about that because just because something's sensational, just
Hmm.
you can't. And folks that have worked with ads and ad copy, you have to you can't make it too sensational. Anyways, we're gonna stick on topic, but
Yes, and the thing is, you want to be honest, right? You want to say the truth.
oh well. See, here's the thing. What we can say the truth without over exaggerating, without.
Eh,
And again, that's where that those policies and things like that. But again,
yeah.
that's why we take an ethical approach. But going back to this and rounding this off, there are certain words and phrases that people can say that may be to you. So that's the same thing is when we get stressors,
Hmm.
they're meant for because it aligns with something that was back ago. And that can no longer or doesn't have to be the case. We can now choose to say, each experience I can it can be good. Every experience can be a good thing.
Yes.
It just depends on the perspective and are we willing to take the time to say, okay, what am I here to learn today? What is this experience teaching me today?
Yes.
And if it's because I don't feel as safe and as comfortable,
Hmm.
how do I change that? How can I change that? And so
And in
I'm
my
gonna
experience, when I get to how can I change that, it's what do I need to change? Is it my perspective? Do I need to get help? Do I need a mantra to support me? Do I need, to, I said self regulate, but there are so many different other aspects. Do I need a coach? Do I need a therapist, a psychologist, a doctor? What is it that I need to be able to see from a different perspective, to see in the world where I work, um, when something happens, okay, some people will say happens to you. It doesn't happen to me. It's inside of me, something is triggered. And in there, I need to resolve something. You know, people used to put me down, and I think they felt threatened by my intuition. And once I realized that and realized what the issue was and let it go energetically and with EFT, I had learned the lesson. So once you've learned the lesson, it's time to move on to other lessons. So other things happen, right? And that's
We
the
have to
way
learn the
life is.
ABCs. I want to pause there because I want
Yeah.
to say that's why we have to learn the ABCs, ladies and gentlemen, everybody that's here,
Yes.
everybody that's able to join us or is repeating or is rehearing this. And I just want to go back and say that these are these are lessons that are taught all
Hmm.
the time. It's
Yes.
whether we want to learn or we continue or we can ignore it or we can just consume it. And so here's the thing that I wanted to
Yes.
voice. When people
Yes.
say, well, you complain too much, or
Mm-hmm.
people that say, it's always in a bad mood,
Mm-hmm.
or certain things, think about it. Because I had a person that completely opposite of my thoughts. And so, on this one perspective.
Mm-hmm.
And so I said, let me take this weird approach. What is he saying? And what is he really wanting to?
Yeah.
And he's wanting to be comfortable or correct in what he's saying. Okay, okay. But what is he actually saying?
Mm-hmm.
Well, it goes back down to he just wants to feel comfortable with the decision that he's making. He wants to feel
Yes.
safe that
Yes.
he's doing the right. So
And just a
he's
second, and he's probably trying to convince you, right?
mhm, mhm.
Yes. And then
and
my next
and
question, Christian, sorry. And then my next question is, where are you doing that in your life, in other aspects of your life? Not on the same topic, on a different topic. Where is it that you're saying things to convince others? Do you think there's anywhere in your life where you're doing that? We're going to ask this question in a month and see if there's some awareness that has bubbled up because I planted a seed today.
the reason why I'm smiling and I can't stop smiling is because I actually got that seed a few days ago. And
Ah.
because of it,
Mm,
actually a few weeks ago, and that's when I started with, and I mentioned um, progress has been I don't argue with my
mm.
partner anymore.
Yeah.
I don't argue anymore.
Yeah.
Now, I still have fallouts and there's still things.
And it's
However,
okay.
yeah, I have discussions even with folks that I see things from opposite
Yes.
perspectives, but when they choose not to hear me,
Hmm.
no, no, no. There's no more convincing.
Ah,
I hear what is being said. I
yes.
hear what I'm having to say or respond,
Yes.
but it's there's no arguing. There's and I've literally have and I say that with my littles is I
Yes.
said, hey, listen, I'm not arguing. We're not arguing about this. Listen,
Mm.
there's no arguing here. I'm I'm not arguing here. We're not arguing and so I'm not telling you there's not going to be arguments. I'm just telling you I'm choosing not to participate in an argument, which means I'm going to listen to what is being said. I'm
Hmm.
going to ask what I can do. I'm
Yes.
going to self regulate so that I
Yes.
can understand
Yes.
And
And can I just add
yeah,
clarity on
yeah,
that?
yeah, yeah,
So
yeah.
when you're self-regulating, you're calming the survival mode so that you can be present with your prefrontal cortex, which is the logical brain. And then you can really, and that's why you say, I self-regulate to understand, because you know all this now because you've been doing this for a while. So for people who are maybe just hopping on, they need to understand that the self-regulation does that, keeps you grounded in the moment so that you can really hear, because our hurts can come up and all of a sudden, like, how dare you say that to me? Oh my goodness, what is that? And that's not what it's about when you're listening. I actually self-regulate when I'm working with my clients. I self-regulate when I'm on a podcast. I was self-regulating just a few minutes ago. So self-regulating is so important. So please continue.
No, no, no. It's definitely it's so important, but and again we talked about it's the building blocks, it's the ABCs, right?
Yes.
To all of these other things that are going to, but it's also the building blocks, at least to me, it's been shown and has been given to things that I needed
Mm,
before
yes.
and in situations that I would have been able to. And so you can't change the past. So
No.
you can be okay with understanding that's why I did what I did. Oh, the aha moment because of the hurt, which
Hmm.
goes here.
Hmm.
And then you can say, and you can let go. And again, that's just
Yes.
where a couple of steps ahead to release.
Yes.
So I say like this. Imagine a little obnoxious, a little I can't even say this, but okay, we all know little kids can, they're fool they see I can't even it's so beautiful how just daddy, 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 or no, 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 or yes, 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 yes. Whatever it is that they want, they really approach it with such fervent, just
Yes.
beautiful
Yes.
energy
Yes.
and such a fire in what they want. If you tell them, and it's something they really want, boy, they might even get to dancing. You see this, and I know Christine's smiling and laughing because she spent 30 years in educating and things like that. But I'm seeing it with myself, and so I'm going, well, what do
Mhm.
I need? I need more understanding. Well, how do I get more understanding? By
Yes.
listening,
Beautiful. How do I
by
get more
listening.
understanding? Yeah.
And so now my kiddos are kind of going through and I'm going, okay, wait. And again, in the moment,
Hmm.
they need to be heard. They just they listen. They just want to be heard.
Yes.
Listen, you just wanted to be heard. And
Yes.
so then it really starts breaking down things and absolutely reach out to professionals. Reach out the QR code. But it
And if
starts with self-regulating.
yes, and if I may, it's important to be able to say no to our children or just a minute. So I had this trick, and you might be able to use this in your home, where I would put my five fingers up when I walked in the classroom and I wanted the classroom to be quiet. And I would do this. And we had to practice because by the time I got to zero, my classroom was quiet. Now, sometimes the fingers went down faster because they would notice me coming in because I was talking with someone, or instead of yelling at the kids. Can you imagine if every teacher and every parent, instead of yelling at their children to be quiet, they had a hand signal? Now, at home, I've never used this, but what is like a minute, 2 minutes, you know, I'll be right there. And it's okay to develop hand signals. I mean, sign language exists for a reason, right? Because you can't hear. Well, you can't hear your child in that moment because you're busy with something, but you want to give them attention. So if you have 2 minutes,
Oh,
and
and in case folks are wondering, does this work? Here's a shocker. You all have a favorite gesture with your hands, with a finger. You sure believe in that one. You sure think you're going to get your point across with that one. So, yes, hand signals do work in both ways. And this is what I mean. A suggestion, and you just made a gesture. I'm going to leave it in homework and we're going to end this because we're already past our time. The
yes,
hand gesture, look it up what it means when you do that gesture in other countries with the different hands, with different
okay, yes,
hands,
yes,
with the
yes,
two
yes.
fingers, because
Interesting.
I was told a long time ago. So we're going to go ahead.
Thank you so much. Create your mantra, write it in the chat wherever you're streaming from, watching this from, even if it's afterwards. Please go ahead and share. And thank you for coming. Hope this was powerful for you today and that you got something positive out of this. So, have a great day and see you tomorrow at 1 o'clock. And if you need some support, individual support,